I still remember the first time I watched this show. I was 15 years old and I saw a trailer for a whole new superhero TV show that was gonna premiere on Sunday. I was so intrigued that I did mental calculations to try and figure out if we'd be back from church in time for me to catch it. I was, and now we're here. It's so funny. I don't remember much about my actual reaction to the first episode, but I do remember how it felt to be excited for the idea of catching the premiere of a new show. I think the last time I successfully did that with a cartoon was when Ben 10 started airing. And funny enough, I find myself comparing both shows in terms of how long they've been running. I did the math, and Miraculous has more episodes than the original show Alien Force and 80% of Ultimate Alien. You can call this show cringe, but you can't say it's unsuccessful. And they plan to keep going until at least season 10. And considering how much they've invested into giving the new saga a whole new look and better animation, they're clearly very confident in it. I actually went back to look at some earlier episodes while making my last power scaling video where I looked to see exactly at which point Miraculous Ladybug surpassed Demon Slayer, and I found myself reflecting on how things have changed. Like, there's the most obvious, the animation. There has been a lot of discourse about how things have changed animation wise, and honestly, while I have had moments of being critical of the new look, I believe there's the scene I described as video game cutscene. It does look better, but the original look is pretty much iconic. Going through those episodes, it's not that the show looked better, there were actually times where I was quite shocked by what I was looking at, but it just had more shots that my brain recognized as, yeah, this is Miraculous. Beyond that, another thing I found myself noting were the villains and how they were used in the plot. To explain my point, let's go over the 8 episodes of Season 6 currently available and the first 8 episodes of this show ever. Climax Queen, akumatized at 1046, defeated at 1830. Illustrator, akumatized at 1215, defeated at 1848. Sublimation, akumatized at 1253, defeated at 1912. Daddy Cop, akumatized at 1400, defeated at 1858. Werepapas, akumatized at 1305, defeated at 1814. El Toro de Piedra, akumatized at 931, defeated at 1819. Revelator, akumatized at 1504, defeated at 1940. The Ruler, akumatized at 1418, defeated at 1919. Now, let's compare that to the villains from Season 1. Stormy Weather, akumatized at 458, defeated at 1945. The Bubbler, akumatized at 644, defeated at 1833. The Pharaoh, akumatized at 650, defeated at 1822. Lady Wi-Fi, akumatized at 735, defeated at 1835. Timebreaker, akumatized at 828, defeated at 1902. Mr. Pigeon, akumatized at 523, defeated at 1736. The Evillustrator, akumatized at 206, defeated at 1805. Oh, he got started early. Roger Cop, akumatized at 423, defeated at 1857. And that's without counting Hawkmoth's monologues. With this, I think one of the biggest differences between the new season and the first becomes clear. The villains take up much less screen time. Where Season 1 villains could last as long as 15 minutes, Season 6's villains max out at less than 9. The longest of the Season 6 villains, El Toro de Piedra, doesn't last as long as the shortest of the early Season 1 villains, Lady Wi-Fi. I may do a video entirely focused on this later, but it's a change that is positive and negative. A positive is that Season 6 is a lot more character focused. Just look at the shortest villain with Revelator. The episode deals with Adrien and Marinette dating, fame and fake news, the impact of Marinette's secrets, and Chat Noir getting a new power. Of course they don't have as much screen time to dedicate to fighting the villain. El Toro de Piedra may have been akumatized the longest, but between Marinette and Natalie's secrets, Ivan's conflict and helping him out with that, and the celebration of Mère Bustier, I'm pretty sure it's the shortest fight scene in the season so far. But I can't help but complain about the reduction in the superhero part of this superhero cartoon. No, using your powers to reveal someone is making fake news doesn't count. I didn't even like that subplot. It made the characters unbelievably naive and wrote Adrien out of a subplot that practically had his name written on it. I say like that's a surprise. With lessened screen time, I suspect the season 6 villains are not gonna have the staying power of previous seasons, even though this season is doing a lot to call back to the first season in the first place. And yet, it would be hard to believe that they would last long considering how overpowered the heroes have gotten. I find myself wishing the show could strike a better balance with this. I mean, look at the bubbler. Nino is akumatized for so long, but Adrien and Marinette still get moments to show character while dealing with his villain form. Possible criticisms of their decisions at those moments aside. Marinette, your parents are in space. Chloe slow dancing with Adrien is hardly your biggest concern. With more time, we got more interactions and the battles got more dynamic. The villains could go to more places, do more things, have more complicated plans. As it stands, Climatic Queen and Illustrator are the most dynamic battles this season, and of the episodes I've mentioned, Mr. Pigeon is the only one they're really competing with. Another difference is going from Marinette pining for Adrien in season 1 to them dating in season 6. An idea that is only mildly soured by how long the writers drew it out. And of course, the relationship has a ticking time bomb in the form of Gabriel's secret, but it's generally going well. And we've got a whole new villain to replace Moth. I'm told her name is Chrysalis, but it hasn't been said in the show yet. Who knew all it would take for me to really start liking Lila was for her to become the main villain of the show? Then again, it's not like I really disliked her in Volpina. It's the way the following seasons used her that was really frustrating. Season 1 Lila is just another antagonist. A Chloe that could attack in ways Chloe never could because everyone already knows her. Ah, Chloe. It's crazy, I didn't care much for her 10 years ago, and now I dread the idea she's coming back after a few years ago actually liking her character a lot. She's been a real roller coaster. Speaking of Moth, I remember the theories that he was Gabriel Agreste. Looking back on it, they kind of made it pretty obvious. And he almost let a villain make him jump off a roof. I guess he's always done stupid shit. You know, in the episodes I saw, they did this trick where we transitioned to him in the same position as the villain using the butterfly outlines. It was pretty cool. Things were so simple back then. And now it turns out he's apparently been working with the Illuminati the whole time. You really have to commend the writers for their ability to make me not believe they've planned more than a season ahead. I flatly do not believe they thought of Adrien as a sentimonster when they wrote season 2, and I only believe they thought of it in season 3 when I'm being particularly generous. There's a running joke about the Miraculous show just doing ideas fans come up with years later, and I can't tell if that's true or if Chat Blanc was just really that obvious an idea. Okay, let's face it, Chat Blanc was a pretty obvious idea. It's funny that Chat Blanc got so much hype when it came out, and these days it's rather criticized. I don't think we really understood just how much the show was gonna fake us out with the reveal at the time. But hey, it's done wonders for understanding the power system of the show. And that itself has been wild. We went from 3 Miraculous to 8 to God knows how many. There are apparently multiple miracle boxes. And beyond that, there are a bunch of superhumans that have nothing to do with Miraculous. New York is just teeming with superheroes, and Ivan's dad is a supervillain. Just the most crazy expansions on the world and how it works, and I'm being reminded of Ben 10 again. I would be remiss not to mention power scaling. It's arguably the thing I'm most known for in regards to this show. You know, it's funny to think that I'm accused of being way too generous with this verse, but the truth is, I think I'm just the most popular Miraculous power scaler. I have seen and talked to more dedicated Miraculous power scalers, and they're probably really frustrated with me for how much I lowball the verse. When I first started power scaling this show, I was shocked by how many people got mad at me for treating it like I treat any other show because God forbid their favorite character gets destroyed by a 14-year-old girl from a romance cartoon. And boy, did this show just have a wild power progression. By the end of season 1, there were pocket dimensions, talks of gods, messing with timelines and paradoxes. And now look at it, with multiversal threats and beings that exist on a conceptual level, and the fact that according to the show's own lore, the universe has been destroyed and recreated on screen. This show has a surprising number of similarities with Ben 10. And we're only like halfway through. It is entirely possible the power scaling community will treat this show like Ben 10 by 2035. You can only have so many universal feats before they notice you, even if they will never watch your story. I'm convinced half the people I've seen talk about this guy have no idea what the story he's from is even called. I guess I should talk about the characters too. Looking back at the introduction, it's crazy to think about how Alia has always been such an important factor in the progression of this show and how Marinette acts. She's basically always been the logic to hold down Marinette's craziness when she gets way too emotional over the relationship she could have with Adrien and starts acting a fool. It's weird because I have nothing but complaints about how her storyline fits into the show. Alia herself though? Legend, no notes. She's reacting extremely well to what the writers are doing around her. Nino. You'd think this guy as essentially Adrien's Alia would leave more of an impact. But then I remember, he's Adrien's Alia. Also, the last few seasons did not make me like him. Chloe. I've already talked about Chloe. Adrien as a character has honestly disappointed me. Season 1 had such great moments for him too. Running away from home to go to school. I know it's not actually an introduction, but it's still a great introduction to the guy and really shows off his character. Letting the bubbler supervillain around because it might be the only chance he has for a real birthday. Reckless and dumb as hell, but oh so telling. Being friends with Chloe? Okay, that was just to fuel her feud with Marinette, let's be honest. Though the idea she helped him plan to come to school seems so interesting in hindsight. And now, 10 years later, I think the only reason he doesn't have a popular potential man meme made about him is because the Venn diagram between Miraculous fans and JJK fans barely meets and there are like 6 people in here with me. It's genuinely crazy how little he knows about the plot 10 years later. Characters introduced in following seasons would find out way more about it, especially when you consider how much the plot is just basically the story of his life. Marinette. She's come so far, and yet sometimes it feels like she hasn't moved at all. I like the idea of Marinette's development. Don't love the execution. She's taken on so much responsibility, or rather it's been hoisted upon her. By who? Like, a lot. So much responsibility, and yet so much of that burden is her own choice because of the strained relationship she has with her partner, who she doesn't realize a lot of the responsibility she's had to take up just center around his life. And oftentimes it feels like Chat isn't her partner because they keep adhering to the idea that they should never know who they are, which means she can't truly rely on him, which kind of make all the declarations about how equal their partnership is ring hollow. And now we can kind of just hope that the payoff for this is great, something the fandom has been saying since season 3. We're getting more and more into the fact that I'm pretty critical of the show these days. But it's only because I care. I have been accused of just disliking the show because the main character is a girl, and it's so funny considering that all my favorite characters in it are girls. I still remember exactly when I started getting more critical of this show. This channel was much more focused on Ruby at the time, but I noticed all the discourse about Chat Noir's role in the plot and when things started to change, and I couldn't help but wonder why no one could pinpoint that it obviously started with Volpina, when Plaque sat between the Miracle Book and the Peacock Miraculous and didn't notice, but the plot still managed to find a way to get the book to Marinette so she could visit Fu and start learning from him, despite the fact that the reason she could visit Fu came out of Adrien's house. That was the beginning of the imbalance in their partnership. And even after realizing that, I still didn't make a video about this show for years. Here's to another 10 years. I will probably not still be here unless I actually manage to hit like 1 million subscribers. So I will probably not still be here. Shout out to my patrons, A and Skyman. Tell me your thoughts and experiences with the show down below, and while you're at it, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more content. Thank you, and good day.